like that. But then it's like a religion sort of. Older videos, I talk a bit about Last Gill because like it has these rock art sites. These are the rock paintings I keep mentioning because like if you see Eebe Waaq, this is so cool actually. This is so interesting that like I am really listening and like paying attention. Saila is a very old city. Mambo, naitwa MAINGI, natoka Kenya, Iskaran, Makaiwa MAINGI, Kenya Wahan Kaimin. Today guys, I'm here to do a reaction on a Somali history video. I haven't done one of those in a while. I haven't done a history or geography reaction in a while. So I figured I may as well do something. For this week, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna release only Somali reaction videos for about a whole week. Releasing those videos for a whole week. I know July 1st is the Independence Day of Somalia. So I figured I haven't released Somali videos in a while. So I may as well do something so that you guys don't think that I don't actually look up the information. I look it up. I look it up so that I could like, as I keep saying, it's better to learn from especially the near countries, the countries that are right next to Kenya. I already know about a lot about Kenya, Tanzania. So always when I learn about like other countries that are like next to those East African countries, like it's always better. Anyways, so but first of all, guys, I would like to ask you to like the videos, share the videos, subscribe to the channel, click on the ring bell notification thing so that you can get notified whenever I upload a new video. Yes, I have been releasing travel vlogs from Tanzania and Kenya, and I would highly recommend that if you get the opportunity, that you just visit Kenya. Like visit Kenya, see how it's like. Visit Tanzania, see how it's like. I was in Tanzania. It was amazing. It was like epic. I went to Zanzibar. I went to Dar es Salaam. In Kenya, I went to I was in Nairobi, of course. I'm from Nairobi. And then I went to Mombasa, Lamu. Lamu is so unique and amazing, especially. I think next time I'll go to the western sides of Kenya or something like that. And then in Tanzania, I might go to like Arusha, but then that's for later. I will try visiting all these countries whenever I get the opportunity, especially as the pandemic, reduces, the cases reduce, and as people get vaccinated and all that. Okay. Now, what I am gonna do is I'm doing another Somali history reaction. So this is a Somalia Before Islam video. Okay. What do I know about the history of Somalia? I know about the Ajran Empire, the Hobyo Sultanate. I know about the Darwish. I know about Ahmed Gurey. I know about the Sultanate of Mogadishu. A bunch of them. There are a bunch of them. There are very many historical, sultanates and kingdoms. I'll go back and look some of them up. I have them in my notes actually. Yeah, so there's Ifat, Adal, there's Marjertine, there's Sultanate of Hobyo, Ajuran. Okay, so Ifat, Adal, Marjertine, Sultanate of Hobyo, and all that. Sultanate of Mogadishu, all that. Ahmed Gurey is a historical figure. There's a guy who fought against who was the dervish, the dervish. It depends on how you like to pronounce it. There's a lot of history of Somalia, and Somalia has a lot of ancient cities: Mogadishu, Marka, His, is it His or he's like the X looking, like it. It's like the food no, no, that pronunciation, I don't know. So that will be hard for me as a Swahili speaker, but I'm sure if I see a lot of people, language is learnt by imitation. If you cannot imitate, you can't essentially learn the language. You know, you don't just learn language in like a closed environment and then say, oh my god, I've learned the language. You gotta actually interact with people. But then my Somali is basically that. I know I'm not supposed to be talking about Somali. I'm supposed to be talking about history. It's Iskawaran, Makaiwa Maingi, Kenya Wahan Kaimid, and then I know Mahatsanid. That's pretty much it. I learned a bit about the numbers, but I'll be honest, I forgot about those. Somalia has ancient figures. It has Awotako. Awotako was, she fought against the colonizers. I talked a bit about the guy who was called Mad Mullah, but then his name was Muhammad something? Mad Mullah? Muhammad Abdullah Hassan. Who else? The first president, Adnade. Many historical figures. Okay, now what I will do is I will just head on to the reaction. Or Somalia Before Islam. So, I'm gonna start recording this video. I'm gonna start playing the video in 3, 2, 1. I see the Nile. That's the Nile heading up to Cairo. I like how dramatic it starts out. From Waaq to Islam. Now, I will admit that I have seen read a bit about Waaq. Like that, but then it's like a religion, sort of, if I remember correctly. But then not much beyond that.
Northeastern Horn of Africa, now Somali inhabited territory, the oldest indication of Stone Age human habitation was evidenced with the discovery of Herculean stone blades.
If you've seen my older videos, I talk a bit about Las Gil, because like it has these rock art sites right there. So, and Barbera is also a very old city.
Discovered in the vicinity of Hargeisa and in the caves along the Congolese escarpment, dating back to roughly 12,000 years to 40,000 years ago. Moreover, Hayward Setonka, a game hunter and adventurer affiliated with the British Royal Geographical Society, discovered stone hand axes at Jelelo between the port of Berbera and Hargeisa in 1896, which dates back to 40,000 years ago. The Somali prehistoric hand axes have since been exhibited in public museums such as the British and Australian museums. Yet still, more evidence of prehistoric human habitation of the Somali territory was discovered at Las Gil complex, located about 50 kilometers north of Hargeisa. The Las Gil cave paintings depict images of cows.
These are the rock paintings I keep mentioning, because like if you see that I've mentioned something and I've like kept talking about it. One thing I really do like about countries is like I like stuff where I could at least understand sort of like history, even if it's like prehistoric, because it shows like I like history. I don't know. I just like history. That's it. That's why I've always wanted to like visit this place and all that, because history is important. You know, it shows. You know. Anyway, I'll just move forward.
Dressed in what appears to have been ceremonial robes, and even a few dogs. The humans have their hands in the air in what is considered a worshipping posture. The cave walls are also covered in old hieroglyphic scriptures. Somalis have known the existence of these caves for centuries and have regarded them as historical sites, hence the Somali name for these caves. Yet still, the Western world only found out about these sites in 2003, when a French team of archaeologists was searching the caves in the area. The paintings of Las Gil demonstrate early pastoral livestock herding in the Horn of Africa. In particular, the camel is believed to have been domesticated in the Horn of Africa between the 3rd and 2nd millennium BC, and from there They reportedly spread to Egypt and the north of Africa. Prior to the advent of Islam in Somalia, its indigenous population are believed to have adhered and practiced a complex belief system which comprised of various entities who are all governed by a single all-powerful deity called Eebe, who is also referred to as Waaq, from whose name the ancient religion draws its own name, Eebe Waaq.
This is so cool, actually. This is so cool. To have known, there was many African societies, they talk about the religions they had before. Even in places like Kenya, you'll hear them talk about before Christianity, this is what this and this ethnicity used to believe in. So this is cool. Yeah.
Ordinary religious temples and places of worship were known as khairu. However, for more ceremonial events, the ancient Somalis would attend the talo, where important rituals were conducted under the guidance of a priest known as Wadad. With the scarce historical documentation still extant and available to researchers in this area, we can outline a basic overview of the ancient spiritual hierarchy upheld and venerated by the ancient people of Somalia. The religion of Eebe Waaq is said to have been comprised of the following key figures. Above all deities and entities in the religion of Eebe Waaq was the mighty Waaq, who presided over the affairs of humanity. It was he that the ancient people of Somalia venerated above all others. They attributed to him the creation of mankind for the sole purpose of praising and venerating him. According to classic Somali legends, he lived in the heavens, and whenever nomad successfully prayed for rain, it was known as Barwako, which researchers have loosely translated as God to rain. The identity of this Somali deity is also believed to have been synonymous to that of the ancient Cushitic sky god. Besides Waaq himself, the ancient people of Somalia also venerated the Ayanle, who are believed to have been good spirits who acted as mediators between God and human beings. The Ayanle were also held as auspicious mediators and conveyors of blessings. In biblical terms, these could be comparable to angels sent to God of humanity. Also somewhat comparable to the angel of death was Hor. He was believed to have been the messenger of destruction and was commonly depicted in the form of a large bird. Some historians have drawn comparison to the ancient Egyptian deity, Horus, whose name also bears a very similar resemblance to that of Hor. Finally, the ancient religion of Eebe Waaq incorporated the concept of divine retribution, justice, and punishment for the evils committed by mankind. The conveyor of such retribution and punishment was known as Nidar, also known as the righter of wrong. Nidar was ultimately venerated as a protector and champion of the oppressed. Although Eebe Waaq was one of the prominent religions practiced in ancient Somalia, there are indicators of other religions having been practiced in the region prior to the arrival and spread of Islam in the 7th century AD. For example, members of the Yiber clan often claim to have direct ancestry from the Hebrews who had migrated out of Egypt during the Exodus and were subsequently scattered throughout the Middle East and in parts of Africa, including Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia. Recent historic studies partially support this claim, as some of the early settlers living along Somalia's southern coastal cities, such as Mogadishu, Bosaso, Bormama, and Borko, may have indeed practiced early forms of Judaism, as was the case in neighboring Ethiopia and in Yemen, as well as in certain regions of mainland Arabia, long before the advent of Islam.
This is so interesting. This is so interesting that I'm I am really listening and like paying attention to all the, you know, it's like when you watch a movie and like it's so interesting that you don't want to interrupt it, but then it's, yeah.
Idka qiblatayn waa mid ka mid ah masaajidada ugu da'da weyn adduunka waxaana la dhisay qarnigii 7 ee milaadiga kadib markii uu Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam uu saxaabada iyo qaar ehladiisa ka mid ah uu ku amray inay u hijroodaan oo ay magangelyo weydiistaan boqorkii ka arminayay dhulka Abyssinia oo maantana loo yaqaano Ethiopia. Hijradan waxaa loo yaqaanaa hijradii ugu horeysay.
Masjid Qiblatain is one of the oldest mosques in the world and was built in the 7th century CE following the migration of Prophet Muhammad's community on his instructions for his disciples and some members of his family to seek refuge with the king in Abyssinia, which is modern-day Ethiopia.
Zaila is a very old city. It's mentioned sort of like in the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, a bunch of Greek historical books as well. Like, yeah.
This migration is known as the first Hijra, though it is certainly one of the earliest mosques built during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It remains unclear as to whether it was the first one built in East Africa, as there are similar mosques built by the companions of Prophet Muhammad in Eritrea, which also dates back to the same century. The mosque in Zaila is distinct from later mosques due to the fact that it was built facing both Mecca to the north and Jerusalem. The history of this mosque reveals a lot about the early spread of Islam in this region, which was characterized by Somalia's large-scale conversion into Islam following the arrival of the first Arab Muslim migrants who had traveled out of Mecca and journeyed through Silak towards the kingdom of Aksum in the 7th century. From these records, it is evident that the native population of Zaila had accepted Islam long before the rest of Africa and even before most of the Arab regions. Among the earliest indigenous Somali tribes to accept Islam were the Dir clan. It is also reported that they helped the Arab migrants in the construction of this early mosque. Though now mostly in ruins, the prayer direction towards both Mecca and Jerusalem still remain visible. There are also a few other features, including the arch on the right, 2 square windows, and a few columns with the rosettes intact and a bent minaret.
Okay, Makkah. It's the holy city, and actually, I think it's the holiest site in Islam. Massawa is in modern-day Eritrea. It's on the coast. It's actually Eritrea's most important port. Okay. Masjid is this mosque in Arabic. In Swahili, a mosque is msikiti.
One of the oldest mosques built in Eritrea was established by the first Muslim migrants who arrived from Mecca seeking refuge in the kingdom of Aksum, Abyssinia, during the 7th century CE. These Arab Muslim migrants established a few mosques on their way, most notably Masjid Qiblatain in Zaila, which together with Masjid al-Sahaba in Eritrea can be considered to have been the first mosques built during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Eritrea's historic mosque is located in the eastern region of Massawa port, making it the closest mosque to the Red Sea from mainland Africa. It can therefore be concluded that the local inhabitants of this region may have encountered the message of Islam before anyone else on the continent. Evidence of this is apparent in the fact that the mosque points towards the first Qibla in Jerusalem, at a time when the Muslim community used to face only that direction in prayer, before permission was granted to turn towards Mecca instead. mosque is commonly accepted to have been built during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. However, since then, there have been further architectural developments throughout the years. One example of this is the minaret and the curved mihrab, neither of which were established features of the earliest mosques, and the very first curved mihrab was installed in Medina during the rule of the Umayyad Khalifa Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, while the first known mosques built with minarets were reportedly introduced during the early 9th century under the reign of the Abbasid dynasty. These features became more popular during the 11th century. Today, Masjid al-Sahaba is a historic site where occasional prayers are offered as part of
Look at this production though. Like the quality of it. Like it's so much information and it's so much, oh my god. It's like watching it's actually a proper documentary of like what is the progression of religion, starting from Waaq, Eebe Waaq, to sort of some form of some people like being was it Judaism sort of, and then how the Islam itself like started spreading across the east coast of Africa, the Horn.
The mosque maintained a simple structure with its mihrab and 4-stepped minbar.
Those are the Patreon supporters for that channel. So I'll stop that video right there. Like, look at that. That is such a good video. Like, and it talks a lot about the. Oh my God, stream it. I would say stream that video. Learn a bit more about Somalia. Now, before, you know how I learned about this whole Waaq thing? The video had been reacted to by other people. So then I went to download it so that I could like view it. And then down there in the comments they were talking about Waaq. That's how I learned about it. But, oh my god, that is a lot of interesting history. Like, that's really, really good. I like it. I really do. Okay. Mahasanid, guys. Asanteni, I don't have anything else to say. This thing is amazing. It's awesome. It was pretty well done. And then it gave me a lot of information because I look up a lot of the history of all these countries surrounding my own country. Okay. Later. Bye.